to truly believe in the magic.
What's up, Magic fans, and welcome to this week's episode of Penny for Your Thoughts, the Orlando Magic UK podcast. Today is Friday, the 14th of April, 2023. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the final week of the Orlando Magic season, the upcoming NBA draft lottery, a look at the NBA playoffs, and news of an Orlando Magic UK meetup and a watch party. But before we jump into all of that, I'm going to introduce my co-host for this week, Mr. Bacon. Evening, sir. I know you're a little under the weather today because of somebody else.
Well, mate, like I've said to you, you messaged me before. For those that aren't aware, Mikey and family came up to ours for Easter. Messaged me beforehand to say, is there anything that you'd like me to bring? But no, mate, bring whatever you want. Just turn up and bring whatever you want. I wasn't expecting him to bring the plague with him. Our family are wiped out, thank you, Mr. Clark.
You can thank my lovely 3-year-old for that, Paul, because I've been suffering as well, mate. Well, I was suffering all weekend, wasn't I, even when I got up there on the Friday.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely. So you've left us with a lasting memory of you guys.
And not a good one on this occasion.
No.
Although we did leave
I'll leave it there.
Haribo.
Mate, the Haribo was much appreciated. 16 bags of Haribo Easter eggs. Yeah, I was well impressed. Good old Becky.
That'll help you get over it. Get over it, Paul. Man up. All right.
You can't say that now.
Why?
I might want to person up.
I'm not even going there. Right. On to other men. Gary, do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Well, if it's good enough to hold The Rock holding the microphone like this, I'm definitely going for it as well, Maggie. So it's how can I start this? Finally, I've come back to the Orlando UK pod. Is that what The Rock would say?
He might well do, but he
might
also
well
say
do. When
he
he's a
doesn't
guest,
care
we'll
what
let
you
him know.
say.
He probably would say that. Well, we'll ask him when he's a guest on a future episode.
How's your week been, mate? You've been off all week?
Yeah, it's been all right, mate. I've just been doing odd jobs, really, and getting to our favourite place that we both love so much.
Yeah, like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Good man. And talking of odd jobs, all right, G?
Yeah. How's it going, mate? You all right? I've got to start off by saying congratulations to Gary and his football team for defeating the Mighty Blues on Monday, 1-0. So well done, mate.
I didn't send you any abuse, G.
You didn't? No, you were very civilized, mate. So much appreciated. Just hope he can still stay in the division now.
I hope you do, and this is the way.
Fingers crossed, mate.
Absolutely. Well, couple of announcements to jump into before we jump into all our Magic news and what we're going to go on to talk about for the rest of the episode. Come and join the four of us on Saturday the 15th of July. We're doing our first Orlando Magic UK meetup of 2023. We'll be meeting up somewhere in Nottinghamshire, somewhere pretty central for people to travel to from around the UK, somewhere just off the M1. I know we've got to finalise details of where exactly, but we've got an idea of what we're going to be doing. Hopefully it's going to be sort of within driving distance of people. You've got East Midlands Airport, which is around that sort of area. You've got the train. So hopefully wherever we can pinpoint will be pretty easy for people to get to. Something along the lines of hiring a local leisure centre for a few hours to play some basketball, followed by a meal out, a few drinks in the evening. So we'll provide some more details with that over the coming week, so keep an eye out for that one. Another important date to remember for the next month is Tuesday the 16th of May, the night of the NBA draft lottery. We'll be hosting our usual live watch party on Zoom. If you'd like to join us again this year, I will put a page up on our website, orlandomagicuk.com, with a sign-up form on there. So if you want to join us for that, then go ahead and sign up on there. And lastly, now the season is over, our game day competition Magic Moments is also finished. Congratulations to Ross Midlane, who's this year's winner with 218 points. We'll be in touch, mate, with your prize, and it'll be on its way to you. Is it the second year in a row Ross has won it?
don't think Ross won it last year.
No, I'm sure he's...
No, somebody else won it last year. Yeah, but it was a very competitive competition, right down to the wire. So well done to everybody involved. And yeah.
Good stuff. Well, the Orlando Magic finished this season 34 and 48, 20 and 21 at home, 14 and 27 on the road, a 12-game win improvement on last season despite starting 5 and 20. The Magic lost the final 3 games of the regular season since we last recorded, 118 to 94 against the Cavaliers on Thursday, 84 to 101 at the Brooklyn Nets on the Friday, and 110 to 123 in Miami against the Heat. Orlando had been eliminated before the play-in, before we played that second game against Cleveland. With nothing else left to play for, we talked about this last week. Did we still think the Magic would compete for those last 3 games? And it turned out they decided not to. Sitting them, holding them out, resting, whatever you want to call it. The Magic rested all 5 starters and Cole Anthony for that final game against the Cavaliers on Fan Appreciation Night. Something I don't think was a very good look for the organisation. But guys, I want to get your thoughts, not just on the decision to rest who they rested, but also your general thoughts on those last 3 games. Paul?
Hey, personally, on the Fan Appreciation Night, start with that, I didn't like the decision. I understood it, but I didn't think it was, like you said, a good look. I think it was a little off when you then play Cole, Franz, Wendell, Markel, Jalen in road games, but you don't play them on the final night in front of the home fans. Personally, I would have been happier to see the main guys, even if it was just for 10 minutes of the first quarter or 20 minutes across the game, play reduced minutes against Cleveland. However, that being said, I'm very happy at the outcome. I'd have been either way. Once the chance of the playing had gone, I'd have had no objections whatever the team decided to do for those final 3 games, whether it to be play hard for wins to take into the next season, or as they seem to decide to do, secure the best draft odds that we could get. Mikey, you and I watched the final 2 games together.
If that's what you want to call it.
I'm going to say, and when you say thoughts on those games, I honestly think we just had them on because we'd already arranged to do so, as opposed to actually watching them. We're seeing far more conversation and intent on snacks and beer rather than actually what was happening on the court. And if memory serves me right, at one point you'd got your phone up and running watching the final few minutes of the Liverpool Arsenal game, which was a little bit more entertaining. I think it was for you.
Yeah.
But mate, yeah, honestly, the final games, once we were out, it didn't really matter. They made the choices, but I think it would have been nicer to have fans on Fan Appreciation Night see the big guys play, even if it's just for a few minutes. And I'd have liked to have seen Paolo get them final 13 points just to take him to the 1,450 for the year.
Yeah. Gary, change the question slightly. Was there anybody in those last 3 games that impressed you, despite the players that we decided to sit?
First of all, Mikey, I just agree totally with Paul about the fan appreciation point. I think if you paid some of the ticket prices that were floating around for that game, and then you turned up to see the full starting 5 left out and Cole, you can kind of see why you might be upset at that one. I was not surprised to see Paolo not playing, because I know we spoke about this earlier, but I think they were going to be like, is he going to play that many minutes? What's it going to do to his averages, etc.? So I think that might have been a move for Paolo.
Yep.
I also think that maybe bringing the players back in was fear of getting fined for tanking. So they were like, we'll bring some of the guys back and rotate. So it was kind of competitive in the final 2 games. I get it, the idea of a tank win, because Cleveland were obviously going to hold guys out. So I get the idea of holding people out. I thought Suggs had a really good game in limited minutes against the Cavs. You know, when you look at his shooting, his form, his pull-up, it encourages you for the idea of, you know, is he going to stake a claim for the starting 2 guard spot next season? I actually thought Jay Scrub looked pretty
Yeah.
decent against the Cavs. I thought he came in, he did himself no harm whatsoever. Again, bit of hustle, 11 points, some nice form. I think he got a buzzer beater at half time against the Cavs. I think against the Nets, Gorga coming in and getting 15 rebounds. He stakes a claim for him sticking around on the Magic. Just with that, he looked pretty decent. And then in the game against Miami, it was nice to see Chuma's performance, 14, 5 and 4. It was kind of the performance you would have expected from Chuma when he first, when we blew the team up and he started getting a lot of first option looks for a period. The idea I thought would be that he would be an off the bench 3-and-D guy who would be giving us those stat lines on a semi-consistent basis. So it was nice to see that after the tough game he had against the Cavs. And it was a nice showing from Kevon Harris as well in that game with 22 points. But I was a little bit annoyed because I felt like it was really a Udonis Haslem tribute night. And it felt a little bit like when Sunderland were already relegated with David Moyes as manager and they just decided to give John Terry an honour guard in his last game. It turned into a bit of an exhibition, and at times it had that feel about it, which was a shame because we would have liked to have taken it all the way down to the wire to get into the playing tournament. But yeah, they were the guys who stood out, and we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah. G, as I mentioned, the Magic obviously lost the last 3 games. Do you think it was the right decision? Because I think there was a 3-way tie in the odds going into that second Cleveland game, and obviously we split that tie and finished with better odds than Indiana after their last game. Do you think it was the right decision?
It was, unfortunately. I was just going to start off with saying, we ended up 34 and 48, but you really got an asterisk next to that. It was 34 and 45 for me because those last 3, you can totally disregard them. And I think we've got enough to beat that Miami team, to beat that Brooklyn team. Okay, maybe a fully healthy Cleveland team we might have struggled against. So, maybe you add 2 wins, take a loss there, so you end up 36 and 47 for the year. No, but it was, like what the guys have said, disappointing that the starters didn't play on fan appreciation night, even if they just put them in, taking them out just to get an ovation from the fans, like a little thank you for their efforts. I know Paolo gave a little speech before the game, which was nice, but totally agree with what they say. I can't remember who I was texting. It was possibly some of you guys during the last game, and I had on my phone the Knicks Pacers game, and the Pacers really wanted to win that. It was and the fact they won it and they've lost, like 10% chance of being in the top 4, and their first overall odds have plummeted. That was a little bit daft on their behalf, but these players are in the league because they want to win. So you can see both sides of the coin, can't you? So no, absolutely the right decision. Gary mentioned a couple of key performances. Kevon Harris, I was especially going to make a point about, because when he's in the game, he wants to win, doesn't he? He's a dog. And he's certainly somebody I'd like to definitely bring back if it's a 2-way option next year. And I thought Caleb Houston also came up, especially when he started. He's in the right places. He's making the right cuts. He's making the right shots. So I thought Caleb excelled there. And obviously Jalen Suggs in the first game, maybe making a bit of a statement because he wants to be the 2 guard starting next season. But I'm sure we'll come on to that at some point during the off season.
It was 21 points, wasn't it, that Caleb got against Miami?
Yeah, got it in front of me, 5 of 11 from downtown, and he got to the line 5 times.
I thought it was one of his more efficient games. He actually looked a really decent prospect in that game. I know, again, we've saying that it's a reduced Miami team, but playing player for player, there were some decent players out there, and he had a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Magic have a 9% chance now of landing the number 1 pick for the second year in a row. Fingers crossed it happens. And a 37.2% chance of landing a top 4 pick. After Chicago's win over Toronto in the first play-in game, they now have to beat Miami tonight to get into the playoffs. A Bulls win and their pick will convey to the Magic, which I believe will be about 15. And a Bulls loss tonight, and that pick then becomes a lottery pick, which has a 1.7% chance of landing number 1 and an 8% chance of landing in the top 4. Obviously, the dream scenario is, but I think so, that they lose tonight. We get their lottery pick. That lands at number 5, and then we land the number 1 pick. That's obviously the dream.
I don't think you can land at number 5, mate. You can only jump to the top 4.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah,
that's right.
Mate, for me, I'm sorry. I want Chicago to win. I want to see the Heat dumped out.
I'm with Paul there. Sorry,
I'd rather have it secured at 15 and we definitely get it, and Miami be dumped out.
Yeah, I second that. What does The Rock say?
Doesn't matter what The Rock says. No, for me, I'm with Mikey. I think the odds are in our favour for it not to go into the top 4. So I would take the risk. It's all about the Magic first and foremost, and I would hope we could land the 8th pick again from the Bulls, and hopefully we could be dancing and having fun with Grady Dick.
I just got to confirm, because I don't know why my brain's... It's Friday night, that's probably why. So at the moment, according to Tankathon, the Bulls pick would end up at 12 if they missed the play-in. So would that mean if they miss the top 4, it ends up at the 12th pick?
12th pick, unless somebody beneath them jumps up, so it'll be 13th.
Right, there you go. So by them not winning tonight, it could be a couple of places better.
Yeah.
Right. So one sim, and the Magic land the number 2 pick, Scoot Henderson, and the number 12 pick is Bryce Sensabaugh of Ohio State. So there's no Arkansas player tonight.
Arkansas.
I know. I'm just taking the mick from Paul from last week.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of Arkansas action.
Good stuff.
I still can't believe I said that.
It's brilliant, and not going to let you live it down either. On Tuesday, the NBA announced that Paolo Banchero was named Rookie of the Month for March-April, having averaged 20.3 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game, and 4.2 assists. It's the 4th month in a row winning the award, and joins Shaquille O'Neal as the only Magic rookies to win Rookie of the Month 4 times. Which leads us on to a tweet from earlier this week confirming ballots placed by voters, including Bill Simmons, Zach Lowe, JJ Redick, and some of the other media members. But there was one particular voter, Andy Larson from the Salt Lake Tribune, who voted Walker Kessler Rookie of the Year, Jalen Williams 2nd, and Paolo 3rd. Has he got any legit case for his vote?
He wants to be McMenamin this year, doesn't he? No, he hasn't. You've got all the other, absolute experts, and I'm not going to lie, I've never heard of Andy Larson. I'm not trying to take away the fact he's got a vote. I'm sure he's a very reputable writer up in Salt Lake City, but it's an obvious Homer vote, that, isn't it? And he's almost looking for a bit of coverage, maybe. Paolo's head and shoulders above everybody, and everybody said so. I think Kyle Kuzma came out on Twitter, sent a tweet today saying it's absolutely ridiculous. So, when you got players saying it, the lead writers saying it, I'm not going to take any notice of what Mr. Andy Larson's got to say, if I'm honest with you. But unfortunately now, he won't be unanimous, will he?
Was he ever going to be?
I don't know. Has McMenamin got a vote?
Mate, OKC are going to have one, and let's be fair, their guy's going to go Homer, surely. I mean, as I understood it, I've read what the Utah guys said, why he went for it, and there's been lots of comments about, well, he won't get a vote next year. And he said his previous vote was several years ago because it rotates around the media of Utah. So he won't be getting a vote next year because it's not his turn again. But like you, I honestly thought he was just trying to raise his profile whilst remaining true to his home team. He prefaced his tweet saying he knew he was going to get took to task about it. I just felt a lot like some of the other media members that we've seen over the recent weeks creating this debate. It was a bit of clickbait to try and raise his own profile. There were plenty of people saying that J Dub's going to be the man and we're going to be voting. We think J Dub is putting a real fight up, and then you look at their votes. People have been saying that, and they've all voted for Paolo. So I just think it was a lot of clickbait. And whatever the Utah guy's name is, I forget.
Walker Kessler.
No, not him.
Oh.
No, the Andy, whoever it is.
Andy Larson.
Yeah. His argument, when you looked at the reasons behind why he'd voted for Walker Kessler, were very contradictory when you looked at how he'd voted in the other categories. If he'd voted along those same lines for MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, then he would have thought that he's gone for rookie. Then he would have had to change his vote to on each of the other categories as well. So he hasn't followed his own argument. It's just very contradictory what he said.
Who did he vote out of interest, Paul?
I genuinely can't remember. I did read and I can't remember, mate. I've not committed it to memory. That's how irrelevant I thought his argument was. I could have a look, mate. I could find it.
It was definitely clickbait. There's no doubt about that. Paul said it was definitely clickbait. He was voting for his guy. I looked at some of his logic. I didn't click the article, but I've seen screen caps and stuff of it. And I'm sure when the argument was put to him about, well, the Magic won games more, like I think won 12 more games with Paolo as our draft pick. And he was kind of putting it down to improvements in Franz, in Markel, and then he said in Bol contribution, and I was kind of like, you haven't watched it. I'm not knocking Bol, but Bol played at the start of the season when we were losing games. And if he's that obsessed with analytics, and it's the analytics that you're going to decide the Rookie of the Year vote, I'm sure he must have been outraged last year then when Franz Wagner didn't get in the top 3, because the analytics for Franz were pretty impressive, if I recall correctly. And it won't come down to that. And at the end of the day, the key stats are what Paolo's posted as the first option and the fact that the Magic have improved significantly with Banchero as the first option in the lineup. There's your analytics for you right there.
And the other problem is it's coming from a Western Conference reporter that's probably only watched Paolo twice all season, and he's watched every Walker Kessler game. So
the thing is, Mike, sorry.
Go on.
I was just going to say Walker Kessler, I've only seen him play a couple of times, but I'm pretty sure a lot of his games based around the paint.
Mm-hmm.
So surely if he's not the key option in Utah, where he's going to be like one of the top 3 scoring options and he's based around the basket, surely he's going to be more efficient with less shots as if in front of the basket player.
Yeah, it's a very valid point, mate. Absolutely. Yeah. At the end of the day, the two of them are going to be all first team rookies, regardless. But none of them have been as consistent and had the workload and the pressure that Paolo's had this season with the looks and the matchups that he's had to deal with. It's I mean, we're biased, but at the same time, we get to see P every single week, so he's Rookie of the Year. That's the way it should be. Moving on to the next topic. Also on Tuesday, the Magic announced, somewhat surprisingly, that the G League affiliate Lakeland Magic will be relocating to Kissimmee, if it's said properly, and rebranding the team as the Osceola Magic. The G League team will play at the Silver Spurs Arena in Osceola Heritage Park beginning next season, meaning they'll now be only 20 miles from downtown Orlando instead of about 55-60 where they were previously in Lakeland. What benefit do you guys think this is going to have for the Magic?
benefit for us is when we go there, we don't have to travel an hour to Lakeland to see a game. So obviously, just being down the road, and that's very beneficial to us. And then for the team, it's just a travel time, really. I don't think there's much more to it than that. If I'm honest, maybe the coaches be closer together, etc. Obviously, we play the same system as what Lakeland used to. So there might be more opportunities there for the teams to watch one another, gain some more insight from how each other are doing. I'm sure they already do that though. So yeah, for me the main benefit is that we could possibly have another game when we're over on our 2-week holidays. So happy days.
You are angling for a divorce, mate, with everything. Let's go on a family holiday. I'll see you when we get back home.
See you on the plane. And any other benefit than the obvious?
I literally thought proximity was the greatest benefit. I mean, we've already been utilising the union between the two teams very effectively. So guys rehabbing assignments for those who are perhaps not heavily involved in Orlando, that's already been a bonus. So having that 30-minute drive instead of over an hour, it has to make it much easier to share resources and expertise.
Yeah.
If I was going to flip the script a little bit and just say about the presence of the Magic in Central Florida, I could see the argument of having the team an hour away for people who perhaps can't get to the Amway that easily, and they still get to see a Magic game, and it just maybe spreads it out for easier access if you've got the team elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Just if you're talking about raising presence and things like that, I think there's two ways to look at it. There are a couple of people I've seen on Twitter who've been kind of a little bit bummed about it because they're kind of like, oh, it was easier for me to get to Lakeland than it's going to be to get to Osceola. Which you take on board, but you're never going to keep everybody happy. And as G says, as he's heading for divorce, it's easier for him to. It's easier for him to get the games. G, if you do get divorced because of this, you can always share with me and we'll go over there.
Thanks, mate.
You're like Frank the Tank and stuff. It'll be great.
And just to confirm, you said share, not shower.
No, Mikey, come on. That
family show here,
mate.
Family show.
For itself,
hey, well, look, some people might need subtitles for Gary and his accent and G now and then. I just wanted to confirm that's what he said.
It's the top tier of Patreon, Mikey.
We're into the off season. Hey, top tier Patreon. No, we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet.
Don't forget, Mikey. We've already been talking about your candid Magic Mikey photos. The top tier of Patreon.
Hey. Well, it's coming with a high price, I can tell you that.
This isn't the way.
This is not the way. So, and last little bit of news. Paul's dropped an article on the website today reviewing the season, grading some of the Magic players and some of the personal highlights from this season. So make sure you go over and check that out with the guys' contribution to that as well. We're also going to be jumping into evaluating players over the next couple of episodes as well. So we've got that to cover as well. Did you want to add something, Paul?
No, mate. It's all good.
That's
all
right.
good.
You look like you want to.
No.
And one last thing I chucked in the agenda last minute was that a few weeks ago, Zach Lowe mentioned on his podcast, the Lowe post, that he was a guest on a Magic pod, and that was about it was a good 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. That episode dropped today with Dante, George, David and Jeff, so go and check that out. That was a good listen as well. And Bobby Marks, who works for ESPN, I think he used to be one of the Brooklyn Nets front office guys who's quite into the cap and salaries and all that sort of stuff. He did an episode on their YouTube channel today, which I come across and watched earlier. It's about 10 minutes long, but he basically breaks down the Magic off season from a cap point of view. And his words were, "There's no team in the East better set up than Orlando, and that the play-in should be a disappointment for us next season." So, if you need another reason to get excited, not that we're not already, but if you want to jump into that. That's worth looking into, but we'll be jumping into all those sorts of topics, cap space, draft picks, and all that sort of stuff over the next few weeks as well. So tonight we've got the Heat versus the Bulls. Miami lost to Atlanta 116 to 105, and the Bulls overturned a big deficit, I'm definitely sure, in Toronto to beat the Raptors 109 to 105. So the winner of the Heat or Bulls will play Milwaukee in the first round. And we've also got the Timberwolves versus the Thunder. Minnesota threw away a double-digit lead away to lose to the Lakers 102 to 108. And the Thunder knocked off the Pelicans impressively 123 to 118. General thoughts, guys, on the first 4 playing games? Who stood out? Who disappointed? Who do you see winning tonight? Gary?
Toronto disappointed. The entire city of Toronto disappointed. The Raptors' history of the organization, maple syrup, Tim Hortons, everything about Canada just disappointed. You had one job and you completely blew it. So the Mother Canuckers in Toronto, they're in the bad books. They're banned. I would say Josh Giddey's probably coming out of this looking pretty well. And I think with the chaos that's happened in Minnesota, that Rudy Gobert trade just gets to look worse, really. Because I would say tonight, I would fully expect OKC to go into that game favourites, considering that there's no Gobert, no Cat, and no McDaniels tonight. You would expect that it's SGA's time to shine. And despite Miami having another bite at the cherry, I don't think all is well on South Beach. There we go.
Paul?
I've only watched 3 of the games, not going to lie. I knew the result of the Lakers game and I didn't feel I needed the time spent listening to commentary that borders on embarrassing with its LA bias, so I chose not to watch that game. I really enjoyed watching OKC. I thought that they were excellent. I see 1 or 2 tweets that people are saying that we're better than them. I'm not convinced. I think that they are a little in advance of us at the moment. SGA is, for me, the difference in the growth of the teams, but they've both got spectacularly good futures. But I quite enjoy watching OKC. I hope that they go in and win that game tonight. I think Gary's really covered it well. But yeah, Josh Giddey, SGA, OKC look good. I hope that they get the result tonight. And as I've said earlier, I want Chicago to win. Don't Miami out.
Nice.
I can never cheer for Kyle Lowry. Can't do it.
No, I'm with you there, Paul. MVP of the play-in for me so far is DeMar DeRozan's daughter. The free throw defense from her screaming resulted in Toronto shooting 18 of 36 for 50%. So they lost by 4 and they missed 18 at the line. So, okay, it's probably not all down to her, but it was quite a story, wasn't it? And to see Vucevic win, I don't mind that. So the game tonight, obviously, I'm never going to support Miami in anything, maybe unless they're playing the Lakers or the Celtics. So I'd like the Chicago Bulls to win tonight and Vucevic to go off on the Heat, because he especially does quite well down in South Beach when he plays against them. And what, like you guys have just touched upon, who else has played well in terms of players. So I won't go over that again. But it'd be nice to see Oklahoma win. Minnesota are all sorts of banged up, and the team's in a bit of disarray at the moment. I like Minnesota, but yeah, my brother's an OKC fan, so I've got to root for them tonight.
Mikey, can I throw a question at you?
Depends what it is.
It's. I just found it really interesting, Zion not being involved for New Orleans. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, have you seen the comments that CJ McCollum made about him?
No.
It wasn't. Have you not? Well, he basically had a quote afterwards, basically saying that the entire team, I'm paraphrasing now, but essentially people need to look after themselves. They need to make sure they get enough sleep, get enough rest. get their rehab in, get their diet on track, and there was all these things that he was saying, and everybody's just basically quote tweeting and going, Zion, they're talking about
it's
you.
about availability, wasn't it?
Yeah. At the end of the day, he's holding them back at the moment with his inability to stay healthy. They aren't going anywhere without him being on the floor. Brandon Ingram's really, really good. CJ McCollum's really, really good. But that team is all built around Zion Williamson. And if he's not healthy, then the Pelicans aren't going anywhere. And it's sad for them, really, because you think they went through this with Anthony Davis, who kept getting injured when he was in New Orleans, and they got to the playoffs for the first time, and I think they lost, if my memory serves me right, they lost to the Warriors for his first playoff appearance. And then you thought, right, now they need to go on this and build upon this and carry on developing, and it never really happened for them. And then obviously the Lakers come in for that big trade, and the rest is history. But yeah, it's another player they can't keep healthy, and until he gets healthy, then it's tough to be a New Orleans Pelicans fan, despite the talent that Zion is. So, first round of the NBA playoffs, we've got Milwaukee versus the winner of Miami or Chicago. Boston play Atlanta. Philadelphia play Brooklyn. Cleveland play New York. And in the West, it's Denver versus the Thunder or the Timberwolves. Memphis play the team from Los Angeles. Sacramento versus Golden State. And Phoenix versus the better team from Los Angeles. Right, on to a bit of Magic trivia, which I threw together just before we jumped on. So Paolo Banchero won Rookie of the Month for the 4th month in a row, cementing his case for Rookie of the Year. I went through Basketball Reference, and in the last 10 years, there's only ever been 8 players in the last 10 years who've won it 4 times or more in a season. Not in a row, but won Rookie of the Month 4 times in a year. So can you name them?
What's the time period, Mikey?
In the last 10 years. So not including this year.
Shaquille O'Neal is one, because we've already mentioned it on the pod.
In the last 10 years.
Oh, sorry, last 10 years, my bad. Sorry.
Luka's got to be in there.
Luka's one.
Kevin Durant. No, that's over 10 years, isn't it?
Yeah. Lonzo?
Lonzo did not. No.
What about
Tatum?
Yeah.
Did not.
I was going to go there as well.
Ja Morant.
Ja Morant didn't either.
What about as I went one ball, let's go with the other one. His brother in Charlotte. No.
I will say Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards won it 3 times. Not 4.
We're doing really well at this, aren't we?
Josh Giddey.
Josh Giddey won it last year. Won 4 last year, November, December, January and February. So that's 2.
Scotty there as well.
Didn't win it 4 times.
Joel Embiid.
Won it 3 times.
Evan Mobley.
Nope.
Carl Anthony Towns.
Carl Anthony Towns did back in 2015, 2016.
Oh my God, you're making us think now.
The names are pretty obvious, but it's harder than you think.
Trae Young.
Trae Young, yep, 2018-19. Won it in November, January, February and March. So you've got Josh Giddey, Trae Young, Luka and Kat. So you've got 4 more.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Nope.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Won it 3 times.
Jesus.
The Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
Nope.
Garland.
Nope.
Oh, what about in the West this year? Keegan Murray.
Nope. 4 you got to think 4 times in a season that have won Rookie of the Month. Do you want some clues?
Yeah, I think
I'll
so.
give you
mate.
I'll give you the years of the ones that you haven't got. So one of them is 2017-18.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, Spider's a good
Not
shout.
not that year, but that is right. No, it is, sorry.
Okay.
It is the same year. No, you're right. December, January, February, March, just two from the same season. So Donovan Mitchell's one from that year. Can you
Devin
name?
Booker.
Nope, he
That's a
did
good
not
shot,
do it.
that.
So if Donovan Mitchell did it in the West, who did it in the East that same season? Do you want a clue?
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to help us.
Played for Philadelphia.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons is the other.
Nice.
And then you've got two further back now. One was a number one pick, and one went on to win Rookie of the Year. If that helps.
Number one, Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins, yep, won it 4 times in a
God,
year.
I wouldn't have thought of him. I'll be
And
honest, I
number
And
wouldn't
this
have
one,
thought of him.
and the last one is the year before. So the year 2013-14.
that's MCW, isn't
That's
it?
SMW, yeah.
It is MCW. It is.
For Philly.
So the 8 players have won it. Well, Paolo's now number 9. So the 8 previous was Josh Giddey, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, and MCW. If you want a bonus, there's only 2 of those players that won it every single month.
Jeez.
Can you guess them?
Karl Anthony Towns.
Won it out of all of them. He won it 6 times that season. And the other,
Ben Simmons.
no, Paul said it first.
Luca. So Luca's first, yeah.
Yeah, they're the only 2 to win it every month. And last little one, can you name the other 4 Magic rookies to win Rookie of the Month in the last 10 years?
Oladipo.
Yeah.
Yeah, in December 2013 and February 2014.
I think we're
Franz.
safe. Yeah.
Franz in December last year.
RJ Hampton.
May 21. And who's the last one?
Please let it be Melvin Fraser Jr.
Alfred Payton.
Yeah.
January 2015. There you go. Good work, boys.
Nice. Enjoyed that.
Good work.
Nice
Absolutely.
quiz, Maggie.
Good stuff. Well, thank you as always for listening and watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel Orlando Magic UK. For all your Magic merchandise, make sure you visit the NBA Store EU or Fanatics UK using our affiliate links. Don't forget to use our affiliate code MAGICUK10 for 10% off your order. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. So from Gary, Paul, Garrett and myself, until next week, go Magic.